Welcome to IGN Plays Live. I'm Brian Altano. This is Hermen and Jan-Bart from Guerilla Games. On this very special day, the launch of Horizon Zero Dawn. First of all, I just want to say congrats to you guys.
Thank you.
That's just a tremendous feat. 9.3 at IGN. This game is critically, just incredibly well received. People are playing it as of last night. Legally, some stores did break the street dead early. And we are going to play this game for the next hour and talk about how on earth you guys made it. For reference, I'm 50 hours into this game.
Wow.
So I like it.
Apparently.
you could say that.
We like it that you like it.
Now, Hermen and Jan-Bart, tell me what your titles are at Guerilla.
So I'm the studio head, managing director, co-founder, and JB.
I'm the studio art director.
Oh, cool.
And actually, JB is the guy that did the original pitch of Horizon Zero Dawn 7 years ago.
What did they say when you pitched this?
I think the first reaction is, "Baby, this is ridiculous. It's ambitious. We're gonna kill ourselves making this." But ultimately, it was actually the ambition and the challenge, baby, that made it the most exciting pitch out of all of them.
Yeah.
I think our response was, uh-oh. I think we might actually have to do this now.
So was this something you guys wanted to do on last-gen hardware originally, and you needed the right amount of power for it? Because this is, I've been saying that this is absolutely the best-looking PS4 game and probably the best-looking video game I've ever played.
Oh.
We actually started working on this before we started working on Kills on Shadowfall.
Oh, wow.
So it was fairly early to be considering platform choices at that point.
Yeah.
So really it was about the concept itself.
That's fantastic. Now, were you guys sort of overwhelmed with the critical response and the fan response so far?
We honestly, we expected that it was going to be fairly positive,
Good.
but the amount of love that we've received has been truly overwhelming, and it's been way beyond. Probably Killzone 2 has been our sort of best period. This has gone way beyond that. And it's been heartwarming coming here out to San Francisco and talking to everybody in the industry. We're here. It's this GDC week as well.
Yeah.
It's been really fantastic.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming to IGN. For the audience watching, I just want to let you guys know we are going to be almost entirely spoiler-free. We're going to do our best to sort of avoid anything that might give away any story elements or anything, and really focus on the world, the combat, Aloy as a character, and I think just sort of like showing you what this game is. Because the interesting thing about this game is, and I cover video games professionally for a living here at IGN, there are a lot of games that I feel get overexposed on their road to release date, and this was the one that was really, really shrouded in secrecy to the point where I think a lot of people were like, but what do you do in this game? Turns out you do a lot, and when you're doing it, it's very fun and very beautiful. So right off the bat, let's just, if you're seeing this game for the very first time right now, give us a sort of rundown of exactly what we're looking at. What's happening?
Well, JB, you want to kick this off?
So it's an open world action RPG.
Yep.
And it's set 1,000 years after the fall of mankind. And through a strange twist of fate, basically mankind sort of lost all their knowledge of culture and technology. And at the same time, basically, they're not the sort of the dominant species anymore. Basically, there's now this force out there, basically these giant robotic life forms, and they're the real masters of the planet now. So it's sort of mankind living in the shadow of something larger than them.
So it's a very sort of unique twist on robot apocalypse, because the humans in this game are sort of living in this very used future, but very sort of down to wood grain, tangible approach to their weaponry and armor, whereas the machines everywhere are like super powerful and highly advanced technologically. But looking at this game from the outside, like if you blinked, you'd be like, that's just like a woman riding a horse through like the outback. But there's so much more going on than that. How long did it take you guys to sort of get to a point where you felt like this world was what you wanted it to look like? There's so much happening in this world environmentally.
You know, we really wanted, after coming off of Killzone, we really wanted to make a world that people want to spend time in, that people want to explore. It's almost, you're looking at the screen right now, she's on this horse-like robot. It kind of feels like a Western almost.
Yeah.
And that feeling of exploration. See a lot of players sometimes not doing anything except for just exploring, enjoying the scenery, and that was a big kind of notion for us. We nailed that part very early. One of the first things that JB did is hop on a helicopter and fly over the mountain range. Will not disclose where exactly that was. Took some photographic reference material with his key art team and then try to nail that in 3D very, very early on. And that part of the artistic vision, that it was very realistic representation of this beautiful scenery, we nailed that probably about 5.5 years ago.
Oh, that's fantastic. So you pretty much had the look down of what you wanted the world to feel like.
Well,
But
not
that's
the
only
roles yet.
no, and not the tribes either.
Ah.
So
Right.
that was, of course, the big challenge. Basically, we knew we wanted to make something basically that was almost like a BBC nature documentary, sort of
Yep.
very, very lush and sort of almost hyper-realistic, pretty.
And we, by the way, love that thing. I think it was the UK IGN did on
Yep.
the David Attenborough style nature documentary piece the other day.
Oh yeah. I think that's what's really cool about this game is that the world in an open world game is one of the most important things, if not the most important. Right? It's very difficult to sort of nail a story, character-driven game in an open world environment, which you guys did a phenomenal job of. But the world in this game is so unique in that I feel like there's so much more diversity to the actual landscape than you see in many open world games. Without spoiling too much, you can see some snowy areas here. There's obviously mountain ranges and stuff. There's that weird sort of robot spider tentacle mountain up there, which I love. There's also rivers and lakes, and then you get into sort of more Wild West style areas.
Mhm.
Like how much was the inspiration of sort of like old westerns? Because it feels like there's sort of this good, bad, and ugly feel to some of it too.
Yeah, basically we looked a lot at westerns, and also basically 'cause we're not saying where this, of course, is
Right.
set, but basically you can see some of the inspirations there, basically with the sort of the Monument Valley type buttes and the desert areas there, and basically these mountain ranges. So I think basically clever players will be able to figure out where exactly the game is
I
set.
think you just gave it away.
I said Monument Valley like.
Right.
Yeah. Now there's a lot of sort of living, breathing, moving, swaying elements of this world. The trees react sort of to wind. Blades of grass sort of like dance. How hard was that to get together? And were you ever reaching a point where the hardware couldn't keep up?
Oh yeah, you constantly reach that point, of course. But
Right.
There's always a point where your game runs at 5 frames a second, and then all the clever people come in and they make it run.
Yeah.
And then the magic happens.
I
But yeah, we spent an enormous amount of time basically getting all these elements right, really studying the nature, studying how grass moves, how water moves. It's been fun as well, basically. These are the fun challenges, especially coming from Killzone, which is a cool universe, basically dystopian, but it's all concrete and glass and steel. And this time, basically, we could go out there and basically really do something that's almost like an 180-degree turnaround.
Well, it was
Oh,
a really
yeah.
tough challenge for us. We wanted to have that fidelity that we had in Killzone, and then have that same kind of visual fidelity in an open world game.
Right.
So that really strained our technical resources.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I mean, if when you're making art and you're making something that's sci-fi futuristic, I think there's less sort of expectations of the way it should react dynamically. Whereas nature is something I think everyone understands. Everyone's seen a tree, not everyone's seen a robot. So to design a tree or a river that looks realistic and feels realistic has to be just a major challenge compared to coming from all the Killzone games, which are obviously challenging in their own right.
We love the fact that it's sci-fi, but everything we do at Guerrilla and everything we've always done, also in the Killzone series, has been grounded in reality. So it might be far out in the future, but it should be very relatable, very approachable for the player.
Now,
That goes for all the animations, but also for the world that you're in.
Now, this is a game where a badass female protagonist fights robots, but also Mark, who's playing the game for us right now, shout out to Mark, just shot a turkey. So what's up with that? Why are there animals in this game? Without like sort of getting too spoilery, but what sort of this? How did you guys land on putting real life animals in this game and picking the exact number that you did?
Well, basically, there's a whole story element to that.
Yeah.
Basically, you play the game, so basically, it gets explained basically why there's humans here and the robots and certain animals. But yeah, there's also a whole bunch of animals missing.
Yeah, I
The
did
bigger
notice that.
ones, right? You see smaller animals for the most part.
I noticed there are geese in this game, and they are some of the hardest ones to kill because they're always flying away.
But yeah, there's also basically there are no bears in the game. There are
Yep.
no lions. Basically, they're certainly basically definitely also missing from this world. And basically, that's part of the storytelling. That's an intentional element there.
That's awesome. Okay. So we got a question on Twitch saying, for players who want 100% the game, how hard are the secret artifacts to find? Like, what's a sort of 100% playthrough for this game look like?
I've been hearing about 50 hours.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, basically the fuel cells are the most difficult ones to find.
The power cells.
The power cells, yeah.
I've got 4 out of 5 of them right now, and I'm scouring the earth for that last one to unlock something very cool.
And you are, what, 55 hours in?
55 hours in. Yeah, I can't put this game down. And what's interesting about it is in interest of honesty, I do get open world fatigue from a lot of games. And there's something about this universe that keeps bringing me back because I feel like it's the world. It's very inviting. It's very beautiful. But also, the combat in this game constantly keeps you on your toes. Like, you can run across the same plane 100 times and have a bunch of different encounters. Like, as you can see, we've got these guys here. What are their names?
That's a scrapper.
Okay, so these scrappers are sort of like, I guess like robot saber-toothed tigers, maybe? Like smaller ones?
They're more like hyenas.
Yeah. So
yeah, we actually call them hyenas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We're getting a look at the combat right now, which is really something that keeps bringing me back to this game. You have those QTE moments where you have a critical hits, but it's also about sort of targeting specific areas on these robots and knocking pieces off of them. So as you can see, Mark hit that area on top, and you can actually scan these guys to reveal glowing enemy weak points, which sounds like a very sort of like, it's a very video gamey thing, but I think it works way differently here because it's very rewarding to sort of find like the heart of one of these beasts, target it, explode it, and keep fighting from there. So how did you guys land on that design decision?
So the combat design was a long track in itself, and Matthias, the game director, who's unfortunately not here this week, but he had this really particular idea, that combat basically for him was a 3-stage loop. So it's all about prepare and then engage and then retreat. Yep. And for a long time, we were asking him, what does the retreat part mean? Why would retreating in a game be fun? But actually, if you play it, that's actually when all the adrenaline happens,
Right.
Because sure, you make your plan, you scan these things, you come up with an idea, you start attacking, and literally 9 out of 10 times, it fails. Something happens, and that's all been designed into that loop to keep you on your toes, because then you have to run away, and that's where the real challenge happens.
Which I really appreciate, because I think that preparation part is something that is not to be understated at all. And if you're watching this stream and you're getting ready to start Horizon tonight, or you just started last night and you really want sort of like a skill boost going in, preparation is incredibly important in this game. Gathering assets and resources, which you'll get to see all over the world. It seems odd to be like, why do I need all these sticks and embers and stuff like that? But you start building arrows, you start building bombs, you start building all sorts of stuff, and then going into battle becomes a significantly different situation for you when you're prepared. It's also, crafting is an important part of this game. And I was going to ask you guys about sort of, this game has, it's an RPG, sort of. It's an action game more, but how did you decide on sort of like how far to push the RPG side of it?
I think the most important notion for us was that whilst it's an RPG, we wanted it to play like an action game, right? So the combat needs to be tight enough. That's our background. That's kind of our DNA as a studio. So first and foremost, the combat needed to be spot on. And after that, all the RPG elements were layered in.
So now here we're seeing a corrupted robot, I believe, right?
Yep.
They're sort of like glowing red. They're much stronger than some of the other more common robots you'll find in the game. And I think what's really cool about this is not only are there sort of more powerful versions of kind of the base enemies you fight, but the scale in this game is one of those things that really impresses me. Taking on sort of gigantic beasts, which hopefully we'll get to later in the stream. Was there a point where you guys were like, that dinosaur is too big?
Sure. We usually go to a couple of phases. Yep. In most cases, actually, we think they're too small. But there were a couple of like, oh, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But finding the right size is an important thing. We want these things to feel like behemoths, large and incredibly powerful. So it's a lot of fun, getting the first prototype of a robot and then putting it into the game and then finding the right scale as you walk around it with Aloy.
And for the player, typically the bigger machines are the more powerful, the more difficult ones. So you can run into a machine when you're not leveled up enough, and you will find out that it's better to kind of go around and come back later after you've leveled up.
And this world is so massive, gigantic. I feel like it took me an hour to go from end to it on foot. And just doing that, I ran into a bunch of encounters that I probably was not ready for yet. And yeah, I got my ass kicked. Like, it's kind of great.
But you love that.
I love it because it gives you something to fight for and come back to. It reminds me of like playing video games as a little kid and being like, I'm not ready for this part yet. I have to get better and better. But I think what's cool about the scale on this game is that even when you're not fighting a giant robot, when you're fighting smaller ones, you might be taking them on in groups, like 3 or 4 at a time. And then something that you might be able to take down easily on its own becomes a significant challenge. So how did you sort of approach these kind of more random encounters on the map? Because you'll turn the corner and you'll all of a sudden have to take on 5 enemies, but they're not always in the exact same spot.
Yeah, it's one of the systems that we designed there. Basically, we wanted the world to feel alive and basically always threats. Basically, it shouldn't feel like a safe world. So as you move around, basically, there are literally basically what we call them in these developer talk random encounters.
Yeah.
But we do switch them up. Basically, our system there basically that changes what happens in different times of day. So at night, basically, you have different encounters than during daytime, and just basically keeping the experience constantly developing and fresh.
Now let's talk about the day-night cycle real quick because I think that this is, like I said, probably the most visually impressive game I've ever seen. And seeing it at different times of the day, especially sort of like sunsets, are incredibly beautiful in this game. I've been playing on the PS4 Pro in 4K with HDR. Was that like how did you guys nail sunsets so well? Like that's not an easy thing to do.
No, that took a couple of years.
Really?
Yeah.
It took years to make the sunsets.
Make the sunsets, yeah. And
I hope people appreciate them.
So that's actually one of the parts that I did myself. Was one of the few things on the project basically that I actually did by my own hands. And basically getting that exact moment that the sun rises exactly right with all the code systems that we have was very challenging, but it was also the most fun thing to do for me.
Did you have to wake up at like 3:30 in the morning a lot?
No, I just stay out. And
you just. That's a good trick. You won't have to wake up early if you're just awake already. You just stay up all night. But what I really do love about this game is sort of the way that world changes throughout different times of day. So can you guys talk about the day-night cycle a little bit? Because I notice that some of it feels scripted.
Yeah. At moments, basically, we do it via scripts or certain cutscenes basically play out during certain time of day, like one of the ones in the village, basically, that has a nighttime setting. But basically, actually, after you sort of pass this gate that we spent, then the world just clicks into its natural pace.
Right.
So right now, basically, we're in the time of day cycle. I'm not quite sure exactly how long it lasts. I think it's about an hour or so. And then basically also the weather gets unlocked, as we call it. So basically now it can start raining and it can start snowing, and depending on which areas you're, there's also sandstorms that can happen.
Yeah, I've noticed like fast traveling to certain areas and suddenly there's a thunderstorm and everything is just different. You know, like visibility changes, it's foggier, encounters sort of feel more dramatic and and matrixy. So one of the things we saw Mark just do here was he set up a tripwire, which I think is really cool that like you guys put into this game this interesting sort of rope mechanic that works in 2 ways. You've got ropes that you can use to tie down enemies, and also ropes that you can set up tripwires for that will electrocute them or hurt them in some way. And then Mark actually went up and he hit the triangle button to override this machine, basically made it his friend. So how did, first of all, a 2-part question, how did all this sort of like rope mechanic stuff start? Who pitched that?
So I think basically that started with the one basically where you can tie down robots.
Yeah.
Because we felt basically that was like a real hunter-esque thing to do. Basically.
Yeah.
Sort of basically, how would people take down something the size of a mammoth or a large brontosaurus, and sort of like, oh yeah, basically tying them down and basically pulling them down to the ground. Basically, that feels
we
like.
We should probably admit that we started with the kills on M82 in a forest, right?
Right.
And that you're firing at these big machines, and it somehow doesn't feel right because you've got that quiet forest and you're ruining it with that sound.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we wanted to reduce the combat to more like Bronze Age almost mechanics.
Yeah.
A spear. It's a slingshot, a bow and arrow, and the tripcaster, rope casters, they fit in there very well.
Now, the overriding system, which is something, I don't want to get too into the sort of idea of cauldrons in this game, but there are these designated areas that are underground, they have secrets in them, and sort of conquering them gives you an ability to communicate with some of the robots in the overworld. in the kind of way that will sort of let you master control over them a little bit better. And there are a couple types of rideable robots in this game. How did the override sort of control mechanism idea come into play with this game?
Well, it's one of the special abilities that Aloy has, because nobody else in the world can do it, and maybe that of course helps the gameplay, maybe that you're special in that case.
Right.
But in this case, it's not because maybe you're the chosen one. It's actually something maybe that Aloy as a character discovers herself, because she's just really smart and intuitive with these sort of things. And maybe we felt maybe it sort of gave her a different connection to the robots than anybody else in the world would have. So it would set her aside from everybody.
Now, traveling this world on robot horseback, or however you want to call that, or on foot, are both really fun, but there's also a fast travel element which will help you get around quicker. But I did notice that early on in the game, you're limited in the amount of times you can fast travel until you unlock a special item that opens up infinite fast travel, which is very different than most open world games. How did you guys decide that?
So what we wanted to avoid is basically just people fast traveling all over the place.
Right.
It sort of destroys the flow of it, and you also make it's a game that's about discovery. So having people basically just go out there and meet people, encounter robots, basically is part of the fun. So fast traveling is there, but indeed basically you need to craft special items or buy special items for it. So we're not making it overly hard. We're just giving you a little bit of friction basically before you decide to fast travel.
Now, can we talk about that sort of purple detective vision that Mark's messing with right now?
Yeah, so this is a focus mode. So this is basically linked to the item that Aloy finds earlier on in her life, and it's sort of basically like a far future iPhone, I would say.
Yeah,
it's sort of like a smartphone device.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys made Bluetooth headsets cool. That's very hard to do.
They're hip now.
Yeah. So that element is actually used for scanning enemies, but also environmental stuff, finding clues, following trails. Which I thought was pretty interesting because it's, again, one of the kind of things you don't really see in an open world game or a lot of RPGs, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, there are other games that have a similar mode. It's just we wanted something that really felt like it fitted with the world. Although, of course, it's a holographic device and it's a primitive-looking game.
But perhaps conceptually, it's Aloy is as the lead character. She ties the old world, the world of the old ones, with the world that we are in as the player now.
Yeah.
And the focus device is that bridge between that juxtaposition. That is an important thing in this game.
Now here we get to see, first of all, some of the wild boars that run around in this game. But also, Mark, can you look left real quick? I just want to show people that lighting coming through the trees, because I think it's just stunning stuff. It's really haunting. It's really beautiful. And it's really unlike anything else I've ever seen. So now Mark actually on his map pulled up just a part very deep into this sort of clouded area, which you unlock as you open more of the map. And he's going kind of deep into the unknown right now, which is really cool. So he might be under-leveled for this. He might get his butt kicked. But he's played a lot of this game, so we're going to see what happens. We also saw some people running around the game that look like they're noticing you. That's those little... sort of like tribes that live in this game. Can we talk about the bandit camps?
Yeah, we sure can. I mean, it's one of the different open world activities. The bandits are really the camps are really fun. It's they're very different. They're tied into the ecotopes. I mean, are we close to one here? I don't think we are. But you will run into packs of bandits, and it gets really fun when they are, for instance, being attacked by one of the machines. And you get that sort of evolving gameplay. That's one of my favorite things.
Right. Yeah, it's really cool to sort of like go from battling dinosaurs in an open world, or what are we actually calling them that? I'm not sure. I've been hesitant to call them dinosaurs. Creatures.
We don't know. So the people in this world call them machines.
Got it.
At Guerrilla, we call them robots. We have a robot development team.
Beautiful. Yeah, you guys actually had one of your watchers in the office the other day.
Yeah.
It was a full
It was
costume.
here, right?
Yeah. It was so big we couldn't fit it in our studio, which is pretty amazing to turn the corner and see one of those. How did those designs come together? Like I feel like there's a push and pull between finding inspiration from the animal kingdom that we kind of know and understand from history, and then creating something entirely new.
We wanted to base most of the machines on animals, for the simple reason that people anticipate, they know what to expect. Right, they see a horse, it looks like you can ride it. They see a crocodile, you probably want to get the hell out because it's dangerous. You see something that's deer-like, like a grazer, and it's probably going to be very skittish.
Right.
So you want to be careful and sneak around. So that was a big decision we made.
And I think what really works with that is that it sort of ends up subverting player expectations. Where when I see a crocodile in another video game, and in real life, I've sort of an understanding of how it moves. But the fact that here it's like 100-foot-long robot, they will jump at you into the air. They will leap after you. There are these bird-like creatures, which I thought were very calm and cool, and they jump in the air and actually kick you in the face. So there's a whole lot of like deciding that's an animal I think I understand, and then it completely subverts that and keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, and so the fact that it's in an ecosystem in its entirety is important too. I think you were talking about the glint hawks.
Yep.
They are scavengers as well, so they will pick up smaller machines like watchers and drag them away right before you can harvest them.
They're really cool to watch, by the way. They are kind of a pain to fight 4 or 5 of in a row, or especially at the same time. And you have to start like using every trick of the trade that you have. And that's the cool thing about this game is that you just saw Mark's weapon reel real quick there. He's trying to kill a goose, one of the deadliest enemies.
Nice,
He got one.
Mark.
Oh my god, nice. So you can sort of assign different items to this weapon wheel, which will allow you to craft quick and on-the-fly stuff like bombs, rope weaponry. There's a machine gun-esque weapon that you do get at one point. But also from within that wheel, you can start. You can eventually purchase and unlock and find new weapons that you can assign. And what's really cool about this game is the sort of diversity in combat. Like, you can approach every single scenario differently. So how did all that come together? Because I think a lot of open world games, they'll give you a sword, they give you a bow and arrow. You guys have basically a close quarter combat weapon, which is her sort of staff here. You've got a bow and arrow. You've got some more long range stuff. So how did you sort of land on this sort of mix of close and far combat?
So one of the things that we wanted to do is sort of make the combat similar to the rest of exploration, so that combat itself needed to be explored. You needed to kind of go through it and find ways and new techniques and constantly basically just practice with new weapons that you're getting. So it isn't basically easily self-described. You really have to go in there and it's like, oh, what does this tripcaster do? How can I best use that? And so yeah, it's sort of basically a learning experience for the player to constantly go in there and explore what the weapons can do. And
it also ties into what JB was talking about earlier, our core loop of prepare, engage, and evacuate. You prepare by, for instance, setting tripwires, and then once you're fully engaged, you've got your explosives. Nice.
So now here we have the opening door for one of the cauldrons in the game, which are visually completely different than anything else in the game. And they're a real treat to find because you'll be surrounded by sort of rivers and trees and stuff like that. I love this mechanic, by the way. This is never not beautiful. And then all of a sudden, you're kind of spelunking into these giant robotic caves, which feel completely different than anything else in the game. Was this an idea that sort of came later in the development?
So the people in this world have never been in it, right? She's the first person to actually go into one of these. And it's not created by humans either. This is a machine creation foundry that was created by machines, so that's why it looks so outlandish.
Right. Yeah, I think it's really interesting to think about just robots making this architecture. That was a really cool thing that I love doing, by the way, that we saw Mark do right there, is those watchers have these big glowing eyes, and they turn red when they start noticing you. And shooting one right at the right time and kind of one-hitting it is very rewarding.
Mark is not into headshots, but eye shots today.
Yeah. So yeah, as you can see, these are sort of like, almost like this game's version of a temple or a dungeon. They're completely underground. And they are hidden, and sometimes now with this one we saw Mark walk right up, open the front door. The couple enemies had a problem with that, but for the most part, getting into them is sort of tricky. And you guys, as you progress through them, the doorways become sort of puzzles of their own.
Yeah, but for these indeed, with the Cauldrons, basically we wanted to do something completely different. Show basically where the robots lived to a certain extent. And one of the things that we wanted to do is basically make these environments feel alive themselves, like you're inside of a sort of living creature. So you'll notice basically lots of things moving, and the puzzle elements are also related to that aspect of things moving around.
Now, what was the influence visually for some of these? Because they feel very sort of like 70s prog rock album cover. Like,
I think basically mostly they actually came from the robots themselves. And
Yeah.
we were thinking like, okay, so if they're gonna be cutting out caves, basically, what kind of cave would a robot make? So we were thinking like, oh, maybe that might use laser tools and be cutting things out of rocks. So a lot of this is basically sort of like our imagination of what a robot would do if he would make a cave.
Right. Now, were you guys big fans of robot stuff growing up, like movies and TV shows and comic books?
Yeah. Zoids, yeah, every kid is. Basically, I remember basically going back to my parents like a year ago and basically them finding all my old comics. Basically, they told me to come up and clean up. And then basically, I was just surprised with how much robot dinosaur stuff I had as a kid.
Isn't it amazing when your parents don't throw that stuff out and you can kind of trace your lineage? You're like, oh, this is what I'm doing now. Interesting. So one of the things I love about these cauldrons is that they do sort of end, pretty much all of them end in like a pretty big battle, which I won't spoil some of the later ones, but hopefully we'll get to see this one coming up now. Yeah, so how does it feel to sort of have this out in the wild and have people exploring this game that you guys have so kind of intimately been working on for so long now?
Yeah, that's a great feeling.
Really?
And especially basically the Cauldrons, which we kept very, very secret throughout all of development. We never talked about these, so now finally we get to show these. And I know that guys that had been building this for years, we're sort of disappointed that we never showed anything of it. But now of course it's here, so they're going like, yay, finally.
So here we've got photo mode, which I just adore. Mark just pulled it up right now. You can do all sorts of incredible stuff and save all these screenshots to your hard drive. You're going to want a big hard drive because you're going to save a lot of screenshots. I've been saving dozens and dozens of these and putting them up in different places because they're just so beautiful. So you've got almost sort of like different kind of Instagram and photo filters here, but also you can remove the main character. You can pull out, you can change the day-night cycle if you're outdoors, which is just a really cool thing to sort of stop and take a deep breath and realize that you're playing something that's just very, very beautiful. How did photo mode come together? Was this something you guys wanted to do very early on?
I think basically we saw it in Uncharted, and we're just like, oh, that is just so cool. And also know that when we get to take screenshots, it's a lot of fun making screenshots. So like, okay, let's just give this to the players because they're gonna have a ball with it.
You know what? Photo mode actually almost fell off the schedule, but at the end, people on the team, they were really impressed by what they saw.
Yeah.
People sometimes work on small elements of the game, and it comes together, and it just felt crazy to not have photo mode in there. And now, when people play it and they take some fantastic screens, please do tag it HZD photo mode, hashtag HZD photo mode. So we get to see him as well.
Yeah, I really feel like aside from the just dozens and dozens of hours of things to do in this game and secrets to find and worlds to unlock, you will spend a significant time in photo mode because it makes you feel like you're sort of like this awesome nature photographer. Mm-hmm. Like just pivoting the camera around, changing the lighting, changing the time of day, removing the main character from the shots just to get sort of like beautiful environmental stuff. It's really, really cool.
I've seen some screenshots appearing online, that are way, way better than any of the screenshots that we ever took. So I'm really happy, that people get to go out there and basically be creative with the tools. And
they might actually put our art directors out of work at some point.
Now, how was it? How difficult was it sort of getting this engine to come together? Because I'm noticing there's tons of different like sort of particle effects. The lighting is incredible. How did you guys have to build something from the ground up for this?
So the technology is based on what we use for the Killzone series, but it's been such a revolutionary overhaul to get this fidelity up in the open world. So we didn't start from scratch, but we did a huge overhaul. And frankly, when we started development, we had very few tools. We had people coming off of from different games, and there was nothing out there. Towards the end of the game, people were super impressed. Guys on the team, developers were super impressed by how fluent and how efficient the tools are. The current state.
Now, not only were you guys impressed by this internally, but you guys had a very special guest a few months back. Hideo Kojima came through and pretty much fell in love with your engine. What did you guys show him to sort of lead him in the direction of building Death Stranding on this engine?
So we had he came out, he did a world tour with Mark Cerny. I think we were the last stop in there. We showed him everything we've got, all the tools, all the... Hey, Marcus, he's on a winning streak there.
Good.
And it's really fun for us to see somebody that's new to the game but being so good at it.
Yeah.
So with Kojima and his crew, they looked at everything we had to offer, and they just loved it, what they saw. And they were interested. We gave them a copy of the engine. They kind of looked at everything for a couple months, and here we are.
Yeah, that's so cool. I was just following all of that, where he was basically going from studio to studio trying to find the right home for his game. And he landed on you guys, and I got incredibly excited for what he's going to make and whatever you guys make next after playing Horizon Zero Dawn. So congrats on that too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Super cool. So tell me about these big robot spiders. Are they crabs?
No, they're the shell walkers. Yeah, they're actually in development. We call them the crabs.
Got it.
They are the shell walkers, and they are kind of the beasts of burden in this world. So they carry that crate. There's something cool, a little surprise in there. It's almost Christmas time when you take one of these on. And they are actually ferocious. They can be really difficult for some players. They have that close range attack. They also have a longer range attack.
Plus shields.
They got the shields, obviously.
I'll be totally honest with you. The first time I took one of these on, I saw it climbing over a ridge, and I was like, this is going to be easy. I got this. This guy looks like nothing. I'll target the big thing on his back. It'll probably explode in one shot. These guys are a pain in the ass.
They
like,
are hard.
It's a big battle taking these sets on.
They usually operate in about 4 or 5. They're little conveyor belts.
Yeah, they've sort of got this whole this pack mentality where they come at you a couple at a time. Oh, then we've got our first death.
Mighty Mark.
That's the thing. I will be totally
Ran
honest
into
with
the
you.
shell walker.
I will be completely honest with you. It is very easy to get cocky in this game, to be like, I got this. You can craft health items as one of your sub-items, which you can assign to there. You have assigned to the D-pad. And sometimes you're like, no, I'll go in for one more hit. You don't get to your health item in time, and you bite the bullet. You take the fall.
Overconfidence.
Tough to watch. You mentioned loot. I think that's a really cool element of this game. Is sort of taking on these enemies and defeating them and then seeing what they drop. And I noticed that through certain merchants and through certain quests, you guys can actually you created it so you can set up a job and be like, oh, so you need to find the heart of one of those crabs to help complete this weapon. I think it's a really awesome element because it sort of does feed into that hunter-gatherer aspect that that you've had from this game. Like, how did that happen? How did that come together?
Well, I think it just basically came from playing some other games and always being frustrated. That basically like, okay, where am I going to find this thing?
Yep.
And so it's sort of being able to set your own goals and basically go out there and basically find the things that you need without literally having to scavenge all the land. Is it just a good way for the players basically to get them into the game and what they need to want.
We're really big on trying to not waste people's time. So
I think that's really good.
With pickups, for instance, we make it just a red symbol on it if you cannot pick it up, if you have that resource too much already in supply. So in these kind of games, you really do not want to waste people's time. That's annoying.
I think that's one of the sort of best and rewarding design philosophies you guys could have even brought up today, because I play every open world game, and so many of them just seem there's a lot very grindy, very sort of like repeating the same action over and over to get something. But I think in this game I did spend 50 hours in it, 55 plus. I'm still going. I'm going to get that platinum
and counting.
And every one of those minutes was really spent doing something that I felt like wasn't just a waste of time. So thank you for putting that together, because I do think creating a job, as you can do in this game, to find the right weapons, to loot the right enemies, and find the right pieces to build a weapon is really smart and really rewarding. I wish more games did it. You remember that after this, Naomi, right here from IGN, did an interview with Ashley Birch, who is the voice of the main character of this game. We're gonna plug that and show that right afterwards. And thank you for watching IGN Live. You can use the hashtag IGN Plays Live to get in touch with us. What was it like working with Ashley? She recorded what feels like dozens and dozens of hours of VO for this game. How long did you guys have her for?
Oh wow, I don't know. For a couple of years, but no, she's been fantastic.
Yep.
Not only is she it's been such a great part in bringing our lead character Aloy to life, but also she's been going back and forth between the writers on the project. They have been inspired by her performance and backwards. She's been fantastic on this game. She's a really big part of it.
Oh, there we go. We got a little tripwire. So yeah, Mark is just really going to town on these guys. So Ashley got to work with the writers and sort of like shape her character it wasn't just like reading a script. It was sort of just like I want parts of this in there too.
No, yeah, so we knew what the character was, but of course, basically how she sounds also changes how you perceive her. So I think basically we started working with her before E3 2015.
Yeah.
And we had a good idea, but basically then Ashley coming in and giving her a voice and really giving her a character basically helped a great deal in just defining her much more.
There we go. So close. Come on, Mark.
Yeah,
Awesome.
he did it.
And we saw a great combination of combat technique there. We saw the tripwires that he had electrocuted. We saw some of the more long-range, those purple kind of exploding arrows that will target a specific area if you aim it right, and detonate it and blow it right off, and then just straight up smashing on them with your spear, which is I just love that mix of combat. So Ashley only revealed recently that she was the voice of the game. There are so many secrets in this game that are now out for the world to see. How the hell did you guys keep everything under wraps? So many games get leaked. Their entire plots get leaked. The box covers get leaked. You guys really kept this one a secret.
We wanted to be very careful. We knew it was going to be a long project, and we knew that showing too much early might estrange people.
Right.
The high concept for it is we ask a lot of people, right? We ask a lot from people. So the premise needed to be explained very well. So we did that first, and then had the core combat loop to a certain extent. But I generally don't like it when people pick up a game. They spend money and they know kind of all of the big surprises. So you want to be kind of frugal with that.
Do you guys have like a basket where you make everyone put their phones when you get there, so there's no tweeting, no secret messaging?
There's plenty of tweeting.
There's plenty of tweeting and plenty of Facebooking. But yeah, everybody basically was really aware that they didn't want to spoil the game for everybody out there. So they were really careful about not mentioning anything or maybe accidentally leaking a screenshot.
And it's saying we're doing this with you guys. It's not in your interest to have spoilers, right? For people.
No.
So nobody wants that. So.
Yeah, there's no fun in that, honestly. And I think that because so much this game is about discovery and is about exploration, that it'd be a tremendous disservice to sort of like sell people short on that. I want people to have that experience that I had when I first walked into this room. My jaw dropped because this is, again, unlike really anything else out there in the world.
And it's so different from being above ground in this world, right?
So
this whole concept is about juxtapositions and this technological landscape versus the beautiful nature is what I really like about it.
So now tell me about these rooms, because we'll see them at the end of each cauldron in the game. What's actually happening without spoiling too much?
Well, so this is sort of where robots are born. So basically these large devices basically is where they're finally put together. And basically we have a whole concept basically on how robots build robots and how these all things on. But as you go through these cauldrons, basically you see a little bit more about basically how that all works and clicks together.
And what we're seeing in the center here, now Mark is just sort of like staffing up right now because he knows that there's a big battle coming. He doesn't want to go in there unprepared. There are resources around the room that you can find and scavenge, which are definitely going to help. But let's analyze the scenario here. So we've got a couple watchers circling this pit right now, sort of guarding it. So we're going to want to take those guys out first because they're weak. They're no big deal compared to what we're dealing with in the middle. But then there's that, which is what the hell is that?
The bellowback.
So
the bellowbacks.
So that's a transport class robot. It's not actually a combat robot. It's just a really powerful cargo robot. So as you can see, basically, it's actually a fuel carrier. It has got these large fuel tanks there, but it can defend themselves by actually sort of spitting out that fuel and igniting it.
So now that seems sort of more inspired by a beetle or some type of insect, right? So not only did you guys take inspiration from kind of like hyenas and horses, but also the insect world.
Yeah, the insect world. And basically, so this is sort of like a combination of certain dinosaurs as well as basically in that fire-spitting beetles.
Did you guys get to mocap any real animals for this game?
Yeah, we captured live dinosaurs.
I walked right into that one. Sweet, you guys need to bring them by next time. A lot of people think they're extinct, so that's good you found a few.
Brought them back.
So now we have this this character that we're fighting, this enemy, which I swear moments ago you guys were like, he's not really combative. Seems to be pretty pissed off. And also Mark did not take out these watchers first, so he's got He's got a lot to deal with right now.
And he's on fire.
And he's on fire. So our situation is kind of perilous all of a sudden.
Yeah, it doesn't get much worse than
wow.
being on fire.
I love that lunge that they do. It's really like it really reminds me of some sort of like just crazy wild rabid animal just gnashing and jumping at you. So this is obviously this is a very, very dangerous situation we've got right here. So we've got the Watchers are now taken care of, so we can reduce ourselves to dealing with this guy right here. Now, Mark, can you pop into sort of detective mode real quick, and we can give this guy a scan? So we've got Fire Bellow back. It'll show us his weaknesses, or her weaknesses. I don't know if these creatures are gendered. And you'll get to see from there these glowing kind of targeted areas that you can focus on for a bit, which Mark is kind of wailing on right this second.
So he should have noticed that it's impact, right, that he needs to apply. So he's got to puncture that that big gas holding, fire holding thing on its back.
Yeah, that big tank. And as you can see by its health bar, we haven't really done a ton of damage to this thing yet. But it seems to be doing a pretty good job of shooting fire at us. And this is really where I feel like this game, above all else, separates itself from pretty much anything else like that, like this out there. Because these kind of encounters are different every single time. They don't really feel like they're scripted in any way or that they happen in phases. But one of the things I do really like, and I don't know how you guys did this, but when you really wail on these guys hard enough and their pieces start falling off, they actually start limping around. And again, I don't know how you did this, but I start to feel mild sympathy for them.
That's awesome.
You actually start tearing pieces off of some of them, and they're limping around. They're missing their bellies and their arms and their shoulder blades, and they're kind of walking away from battle sometimes.
Well, we laugh about it, but it's actually really important that the animation, that it plays a big role in the authenticity of it. So we want you to feel sorry for them.
Like, I don't know if you're watching at home and you feel bad for this guy just yet. I don't think you should yet, but it doesn't seem like he's having a great time.
I think we should feel bad for Mighty Mark.
So now Mark is tying down this creature, which you can do with 1 or 2 ropes if you're using a smaller enemy here. But here he's really just like, he's going like full like circus elephant on him. It's terrifying. This is like King Kong right now. And that will obviously reduce the amount it can charge at you, its maneuverability, its ability to sort of like hit you with any sort of close range combat, which I think is really cool. Because now, like, we've taken this guy down to size, chipped off about half of his health so far. Mark still has a long way to go. The battles in this game are significant. They are not something you'll be able to just fly through in a couple seconds.
And that was important for us. Sometimes in open world action RPGs, combat is kind of secondary. In our game, it's the opposite almost. It's the first and foremost. Combat is what we're after. It needs to be fluid. It needs to be tactical. It needs to be visceral.
Keeps missing the tripwire.
Yeah. He's smart, man.
Lure it.
He's figured it out.
Boom.
Ah.
Make the most of that.
Wow. Okay, he's down. So now that he's down, Mark can actually hit him from a distance. He can run up and just melee him if he want. Critical hits are really important right now. Really getting that health down. Eventually he's going to get back up, and he's going to not be happy about that. But look, there we've got that limp now. You saw him. It took him a little while to get back on his feet. He's not doing good. I don't think he's truly engaging you anymore. Damn, dude. Okay, now he's pissed. He's really pissed now. But look. Oh, he's so weak. See, I feel bad for him. He was on his own. He was in his... Oh, wow.
Nice job, Mark.
Dude. That was
Payoff
awesome.
time.
Good fight. Now, we're seeing a purple element there. What's up with that?
So that's a rare pickup. So you got extra lucky here.
Sweet. Yeah, Mark got rid of one of his... so let's talk about the sort of looting in this game real quick. There's a tier system in terms of how rare certain items are. Green, which is kind of pretty much uncommon. Blue, which is a little harder to find. And the purple, which are the rarest items in the game. Is that correct?
Yep.
And within that, there's actually stronger and weaker versions of those elements. So if you wanted to get like a fire coil that does 17% damage, you might also find one that does 24% damage.
Yeah, and so basically that goes into the modification system for the weapons as well. Basically, that these rare parts really help to boost your weapons and your outfits.
Which I really like because it adds a customization element to an already pretty robust customization element. Here we got beautiful sort of morning right here in this game. It was night when you went in there, so that was a long ass evening. But yeah, finding weapons, unlocking weapons, and then going into your menu and sort of customizing them from there. Really, can we show that real quick, Mark? Let's just check out the menu. I want to show the inventory. So here we've got these weapons now, Tripcaster. And from here, you can actually add and clear modifications. We can't do it for some of the ones we have right here, but in the skill tree, it is an ability you can unlock.
That's right.
Now, Mark, if you want to pull up that skill tree really quick too, 3 different play styles here, which I found myself kind of diagonally kind of bouncing between all of them, which is really interesting. I didn't feel like I was locked into one skill tree. I wanted to be sort of passive in some ways in the way I snuck around the world. But when I got up to an enemy, I wanted to really whoop his ass. So this is really cool. And I just maxed out that skill tree this morning. That felt very nice. I have everything unlocked. What are some of the things that you can unlock sort of along the lines of that skill tree?
So it again ties in with that loop of prepare, engage, and retreat. A lot of the skill sets that you have basically sort of strengthen one of these aspects. So they either help you basically become better at foraging, which helps you prepare, or basically they're more combat orientated. There's also more aspects of stealth that you can unlock, because sort of stealth is part of the prepare stage, where basically you're hiding in the bushes and getting close to enemies.
Really sneaking up on those turkeys.
Yeah, so all these skill sets basically help you in one of these aspects of the combat loop.
Yeah, this game is running on PS4 Pro. You guys had basically a small update to the game on day one that allows you different graphic settings for this, right?
Yeah.
There's 2 different options, and can you guys talk about those?
So we've got performance mode and resolution mode. So in resolution mode, basically it runs at 4K, and it already ran at 4K, of course. But basically with performance mode, you can set it to 1080, and then basically you get an extra performance. Now the game runs at perfect 30 anyway.
Yep.
But basically it's just basically in case basically there's any frame drop during the most heaviest combat, then that basically sort of completely removes that.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's something people are looking for more and more, which I don't think we had ever thought would be a possibility in console games. But with the power of the PS4 Pro, I mean, we're heading into new territory, and thank you guys for bringing Horizon there, because I really feel like this. We've had some really cool games hit the Pro so far. This is the one that to me is the sort of the flagship, the showcase piece, the real justification for why you should get that upgraded console. That, and it just looks so good in 4K. That being said, if you're playing at 1080p, it's also really gorgeous. I host Podcast Beyond here with some friends at IGN. Most of them were playing at 1080p, and they came away saying the same thing, that this is one of the most beautiful games they've ever played. So these are like the settlements here now, right? This is sort of like the human areas of the game.
Yeah, I think this is Muller's Crown, which is the most northern Nora outpost.
You come pick up side quests here, you come just explore the culture, you
Yep.
go into dialogue, you learn more about the different tribes.
Go shopping.
You go shopping,
Yep.
you meet a trader.
Now, there are collectibles hidden all over this world that both tie into the story and tie into traders. Can you guys talk about those real quick?
Yeah, so there are multiple types of collectibles. One of the coolest ones are the audio logs, basically where your focus can download old phone conversations or diary things basically that people have written, and it tells you a little bit about basically what happened to the world. And then there's also there are vantages that you can find. So these are sort of like the future of Instagram, where people have taken pictures of what the world used to look like, and there's some commentary basically on these pictures. So
they're sort of like windows to a different
Yes,
time, which I really enjoy because they're usually hidden very high up. They're called Vantage Points, and to find one is sort of a trek to actually get up to many of them. And then getting up there will sort of reveal a secret about the world, which I thought was really cool. And then you've also got those Bannock figures.
Yeah, the Bannock figures. So these are sort of like tiny little toys and other things. Basically, they're from another culture, and again, it's sort of like collectibles that help you explore and understand the world better.
Yep. You wrecked that guy, Mark. Oh, look at that move! What the heck is that?
Backwards close combat while mounted.
This rodeo
got a
move
real
over
hang
here.
of this game.
Yeah, he's very good at this game. So the campfires are really cool. I found myself trying to unlock every single one. They do allow you to, they're the sort of fast travel focal points in the game. The more you unlock, the easier it is to sort of get around the world.
As well as save games, of course.
Yep.
So he really should be blasting some fire arrows into those canisters.
Look.
So
backwards horse riding.
Tell us about Aloy, because I think she's one of the coolest characters, and I really feel like she's going to sort of help kind of define PlayStation as an icon for years to come now. I mean, I feel like she's the next Nathan Drake.
Wow. Well, those are nice things to hear for us. Obviously, she's that we hope that was going to be the case, and the response to her as a lead character has been phenomenal. I mean, she's this character that was born an outcast, so she's kind of naturally fierce and she's strong, but she still maintained that curiosity, and that's really important for us to have a character that has this mysterious world, and she wants to explore it. She wants to find out how this world came to be the way it is, where the hell these machines come from, how they're created, and she's not scared like the other people. Look at that.
Yeah. I mean, I want to say real quick, Aloy is she's got dreadlocks and she loves crafting. So congrats on making me love a hippie as a video game protagonist. But this is great. This is photo mode here. It shows off. This is just in one of her costumes. She's got tons of different outfits you can unlock in this game too, including one that's very special, which I won't spoil, but you're going to want to find it, and I'm very close to getting it right now. So here's a look at photo mode right now. Mark adjusted the time of day. He kind of caught that right in the peak of shooting that arrow perfectly. You can do that during boss battles. You can do that during pretty much any enemy encounter, just climbing over like a beautiful ridge. It's just such a nice game to look at. So now that this game's out in the wild, what are you guys sort of most excited about people discovering? What the? Nice that you could do that for one. They really hate that.
Well, basically, I'm really excited about basically seeing all the stuff basically appearing on Instagram and other people's basically with photo mode. Basically, that's really nice to look at. But of course, basically, there's also a whole bunch of stuff that we still have hidden in the game.
Yeah.
A couple of very special collectibles basically that not everybody has found yet. So it's kind of fun basically just seeing basically who found it.
And for me, it's really special to see how differently people actually played through this game. Everybody has their own style, their own kind of order in which they take on the different events. And
I actually did all of the main missions before I did any of the side missions, and now I'm doing all the side missions and errands and all sorts of other stuff. Whereas I was just talking to people at IGN here who were constantly bouncing back between all the different options of things you can do in the game. So now this world is gigantic. It's one of the biggest video game worlds I've ever played. Is there any plans to sort of down the line add areas or add anything to it? Or are you guys just kind of focusing on what's here right now?
But obviously, we like it that you're asking for more, but we're here for launch right now,
Good.
And it's a big game. We're super excited that it's out now, and we finally get to see other people play it, which is just fantastic.
Can you guys believe that I played 55 hours of this game and I'm still asking for more?
Right?
It's a good problem
That's
to have.
a great sign.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is Horizon Zero Dawn. It's out now on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro. Hermen and JB, thank you guys so much for coming all the way from Amsterdam to talk about this phenomenal, fantastic game. And congrats again on the launch. It's a tremendous achievement.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys so much. And remember, IGN plays live for all your live video game coverage right here in IGN. And when you're stuck in Horizon trying to find all the secrets, head on over to our guides and wikis. We've got you covered. We've got videos on YouTube, everything you could possibly need for this game as we cover it for months and months. So thank you so much for joining us today from Guerrilla and IGN. And we're out. See you guys.
guys, I'm here with Ashley Birch, the wonderful Ashley Birch, who's playing Aloy in Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a game that's out today, which you guys are probably stoked about.
It's out today!
Oh my god, how excited are you? Nervous? Like, what are your feelings around this?
Man, I'm so excited that the game is finally out. I've been working on it for like 2 years, and I'm so pumped that people have been enjoying it, that the reviews have been good. I'm nervous.
Super good.
Yeah, really
like, exceptionally good.
It's such a special game. I'm really excited about people being able to play it because it's, it's an open world game and it's beautiful. You've seen all the footage. It's gorgeous. But the really cool thing is that like there is one lead and that lead is a female. And
it's
playing
you.
her and it's me. It's crazy. So yeah, it's a really special game and I'm stoked that people are actually going to be able to get their hands on it finally. And nervous because I want people to like it.
As someone who's done a lot of voice acting in anime and video games, how have you helped shape Aloy?
Well, I've never been a lead like this in a game before, which is super exciting.
Right. A lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of
work and pressure. But yeah,
and a new IP.
And a new IP
right,
completely. Yeah.
Right. So it was interesting. I mean, the devs at Guerilla are so awesome, and they really wanted Aloy to feel like my character, and so it was definitely a collaboration, and it was interesting because a game that big and a character that's this important, like she's spearheading a new IP, there's just a lot of kind of honing in that you have to do. So Aloy is 18 and she's got this kind of difficult past. She's been an outcast from this tribe. She never knew her mother. And she's sort of just been living on her own with her father figure Rost for her entire life. Like there's robot dinosaurs everywhere and she had to learn how to hunt and how to survive.
Yeah.
And so finding a place that Aloy would live in terms of her voice and her attitude was an interesting challenge. It was important to me that Aloy feel like an emotional being without being like overly emotional and without being like stoic, kind of capital S strong female character.
Right.
Like I wanted her to have some flexibility in terms of like her emotional spectrum without being like, screw you, Dad. You know what I mean? Like,
or no feelings.
Or no feelings and just like totally fine with everything, right?
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about an open world game is that the player can choose to do a mission at any time, and so Aloy had to be sort of malleable depending on whatever the mission is. So we kind of had to find a baseline for her that made sense, but try to find that arc in her and how she would grow over the course of the main storyline while also preserving a sort of like baseline Aloy for all of the side quests.
How could you possibly immerse yourself in a character who lives in a world surrounded by robot dinosaurs?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because voice acting is so divorced from
reality.
Right. Like I'm in a booth with like this crazy rig on my face. There's like a GoPro just like staring at me and like, I've got like wires coming out everywhere. I'm like in the Matrix. Well, yeah, the rig was like, it was like a head rig that had a GoPro in the front of it. And then sometimes I would have dots on my face for facial capture. It was
like
usually for
cyborg
cutscenes.
or something.
Yeah, I basically was, right, exactly. I was a geth. I was just like, right. So, like you have to suspend your reality a little bit to do the work at all. So it wasn't that much of a leap. And also the other thing is like, Horizon is it's a really beautiful sci-fi world. But again, like all of the grounding components of it are these human stories. Like Aloy is a deeply human character, going through deeply human things of feeling like ostracized, not knowing where she fits in this world. Trying to like navigate who she is and find out who she is and learning what it takes to be like a champion for people and that kind of thing.
So how's this character different or similar to other characters that you've voiced in other games?
Right, so Aloy is definitely different from Tiny Tina in that she's not insane.
Good.
So there's that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, she really is much different than any other character I've played. I mean, the getting to spend so much time with her especially is a different experience. The only comparable experience I've had to that is probably Chloe from Life is Strange.
Okay.
But Chloe is, she's in a very different emotional place than like context of a place than Aloy is. For Chloe, I think she's more expressive about it and it comes out more in her relationships. Aloy, I think, is a bit more internal. I think she also like pushes through things more to like get stuff done because she's like trying to save the world all the time. She has this like sort of internal processing going on, but she always has to show up and just be like, no, I can do this. Get out of my way, basically,
Given all the characters that you've played, is there one character in the video game world or realm of entertainment that you wish you could have the opportunity to play?
I love BioWare like crazy. So I would love to be in a BioWare game, even if I was just some random Asari, just
some side,
just like that has like one line, that's like get her, like I,
or like a store clerk, or like
like Mass Effect, the Mass Effect franchise is like my favorite game franchise.
Okay, good. So. Well, come on, BioWare, make it happen. Okay, cool. So that's good to know then. And anything in the entertainment realm, perhaps, that you would want to play a like live action character? Has that ever occurred to you?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's interesting. Yeah, I love the idea of playing like a bounty hunter type character.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay, well, Star Wars world, watch out.
Yeah.
It's coming for you. That'd be cool. Okay, bounty hunter. Maybe like, maybe not Star Wars, but it could be, its own little thing. Yeah, that'd be
I would like to play,
awesome.
I would like to do the biopic for Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Perfect. Okay, I'm glad we got that. We've seen an increasing number of games with very strong female protagonists. Can you share some of the inspirations or what you did to prepare for a character role like this?
For sure. So, speaking of Mass Effect, Jennifer Hale's performance as Commander Shepard is a huge inspiration for me. And I know I have a host of other pals that are voice actors that performance was so formative. And Jennifer just destroyed it.
Took it home.
Oh my God, she's so good. And like every scene has intention, and every scene you feel the weight and like the emotional context of everything that's going on. And there's, I remember playing the Shadow Broker DLC, and there's this moment where there's actually no dialogue in that scene, but I've already fallen in love with that character because of Jennifer Hale. But there's this moment where she just runs up and just socks him in the face, and I like literally went, "Wow!" I like screamed at the top of my lungs.
Oh,
I was
that's
so
amazing.
stoked. But yeah, so like that's a really hard balance. So she was super inspiring, and I mean, when I was a kid, I dressed up as Princess Leia for Halloween. I love Princess Leia. You know what I mean? Love Princess Leia. Emily Blunt in Edge of Tomorrow is also such an awesome.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I didn't. Yeah,
she's amazing.
You've gone from being a famed YouTuber to contributing to the gaming industry in a big way. What's the dream job from here?
Being open to sort of any particular, curve or whatever in the road that my career could take has led to some really cool stuff, like being able to write on different cartoons or whatever. So I'm kind of just like stoked to see what happens.
Or you said you've been doing a lot of writing. Like, what are some of the writing projects you've been working on? If you could talk about them.
Oh, totally. So I wrote for Adventure Time. Yeah. And I'm working at Nickelodeon now on a show called Glitch Techs.
Nice.
Which is I don't know how much I can say about it, but it's about video games.
Okay.
So there's like a video
still
game
in the same
too.
realm, which is
cool.
still
in the same realm. And helping pals. I have some indie dev pals that are working on games that I'm helping them with.
With voice work or writing?
With writing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you've garnered a reputation for yourself as an avid gamer. So, hey Ash, what you playing?
You.
I know.
So my really good friend, Sarah O'Malley, is also a voice actor.
Okay.
And she's in, I'm going to plug her thing, she's in
Yay.
For Honor.
Oh my God, For Honor.
Yeah, so she's a Viking Raider in For Honor. She's a female Viking Raider. And so I've been playing that. A, she's amazing in it. And B, it's so fun.
It is a really fun game.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
I think it's like just dueling, like the option to just do one-on-one duels is
Exactly.
so smart and so cool.
So well done.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. And I love the idea that there's like consequences that are going to happen to the game over time depending on what factions succeed, and like it's so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been playing For Honor a little bit. I just finished Last Guardian, and then I'm going to play Horizon with my friend when it comes out.
Which is out now.
Which is out now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. As Aloy, you fought off robot dinosaurs. So, Terminator or Jurassic Park? Which movie would you rather be in?
I would think I would do Jurassic Park.
Okay. Why?
I mean, just because hanging out with the nice dinosaurs would be really cool. But then there's the whole T-Rex element to it.
That's a little scarier.
Yeah, but like if you could like ride a brontosaurus or something, I don't know.
That's true.
I'm sticking with Jurassic Park.
I like Jurassic Park too. There's no time travel, so it's not as confusing.
Right, yeah, straightforward.
Yeah, I think I would go with Jurassic Park too.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a really kind of similar question, but Aloy's pretty badass with a bow. So Legolas or Hawkeye?
What about Katniss?
Judges?
Katniss.
Katniss it is. Perfect. Mary, Bob, Kill, Mega Man, Bender, or R2?
Okay. Well, Mega Man is the only one that's like still kind of a man.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what?
They're
Actually,
all really great guys.
I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna marry R2, and we'll just have like kind of like a friendship marriage.
I like
and
it.
just hang out.
We'll just be your buddy.
Yeah, he'll just be my buddy.
Yeah.
Boff, Mega Man, and then Bender
Okay.
gets jettisoned. Yeah,
I like it.
Airlocked.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice too. Yeah, because Bender can be just.
It's kind of intense.
What's your favorite flavor, banana?
Favorite?
Are you in Borderlands 3?
I don't know.
Are you in Borderlands 3?
I said at one point, and I'm sorry.
IGN Plays Live. I'm Brian Altano. This is Hermen and Jan-Bart from Guerilla Games. On this very special day, the launch of Horizon Zero Dawn. First of all, I just want to say congrats to you guys.
Thank you.
That's just a tremendous feat. 9.3 at IGN. This game is critically, just incredibly well received. People are playing it as of last night. Legally, some stores did break the street dead early. And we are going to play this game for the next hour and talk about how on earth you guys made it. For reference, I'm 50 hours into this game.
Wow.
So I like it.
Apparently.
you could say that.
We like it that you like it.
Now, Hermen and Jan-Bart, tell me what your titles are at Guerilla.
So I'm the studio head, managing director, co-founder, and JB.
I'm the studio art director.
Oh, cool.
And actually, JB is the guy that did the original pitch of Horizon Zero Dawn 7 years ago.
What did they say when you pitched this?
I think the first reaction is, "Baby, this is ridiculous. It's ambitious. We're gonna kill ourselves making this." But ultimately, it was actually the ambition and the challenge, baby, that made it the most exciting pitch out of all of them.
Yeah.
I think our response was, uh-oh. I think we might actually have to do this now.
So was this something you guys wanted to do on last-gen hardware originally, and you needed the right amount of power for it? Because this is, I've been saying that this is absolutely the best-looking PS4 game, and probably the best-looking video game I've ever played.
We actually started working on this before we started working on Kills on Shadowfall.
Oh, wow.
So it was fairly early to be considering platform choices at that point.
Yeah.
So it really was about the concept itself.
That's fantastic. Now, were you guys sort of overwhelmed with the critical response and the fan response so far?
We honestly, we expected that it was going to be fairly positive,
Good.
but the amount of love that we've received has been truly overwhelming, and it's been way beyond. Probably Kills on 2 has been our sort of best period. This has gone way beyond that. And it's been heartwarming coming here out to San Francisco and